welcome on back to Fourth and 30 podcast. Glad to have you again with us this week. It's playoffs, man. Wild card weekend just got over, and we're getting ready to head into the divisional rounds. We're going to cover some of that. Just first off, Chris Dewar, sorry that your Kings submitted a trade that was so big and got rejected immediately. And the Kings have been catching a lot of strays lately. Have you guys noticed that? So SNL did a thing about the Sacramento Kings being so bad the other night, and then they posted that thing in playoff drought or championship droughts, and the Kings got a stray on that. So
I did see that.
Well, they're kind
They
of
would-
deserving after the way they trolled Russ the other night. They deserve to be trolled back a little bit.
but
Yeah, they were rough on Russ.
Mm-hmm.
first game of the weekend was Raiders at Bengals, and it was arguably one of the closer games, probably the closest game we had all weekend. There was no lead changes in the second half of any game this weekend, which is
That's crazy.
kind of sucks. But anyway, Bengals and Raiders. Raiders had a chance to, go down and at least tie the game there at the end and couldn't get it done. But yeah, that was. I thought it was a good game. The Raiders were never really out of it at any point. Like they got down, but they weren't really out. And I thought they held Jamar Chase kind of in check a little bit. So
Well, with the Raiders, what was it, 17 come from behind wins this year, however many they had, it almost felt like that was a game for the Raiders the longer that game went on. Bengals did a good job closing it out. But Derek Carr had a chance where he's been one of the best players in the league this year. Down one score with just a minute or two left on the clock. There hasn't been many guys better this year than him. And he had his opportunity. He just, couldn't pull the magic out one more time.
Yeah, I honestly felt like the Raiders needed to just run the ball more. They were running the ball with success. Jacobs averaged he had 13 carries for 83 yards. Carr threw it 54 times. Like Carl said, the game was never really out of reach. I think if the Raiders could go back, they run the ball more, they might be able to win that game.
I agree with you. I think they would run the ball a little bit more, but I think they were down the entire game. I think that's why they were in the mode passing like they were.
yeah, when Derek Carr got down there on the 11-yard line, whatever that was, he spiked the ball. So wouldn't you think as a pro team you would have a set of plays and no situational? Why would you burn that down and not just, try something at the end zone there instead of burning it? So when they got done with fourth down, there was still time left on the clock. So obviously they could have ran another play.
Yeah,
I always like when teams throw the fake spike in there. You can catch some teams off guard that way.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it. You would think every team probably has a play set for that situation, so it's probably a play they practice a lot and they know what they're going to do. But also, people hurrying up there, yes, they're professionals, but sometimes a guy does something stupid when they're in that kind of mode, and then you throw a pick and then you don't get any chances. I can see both sides of it, just taking the spike and going back to the huddle and getting everybody set. I don't know. I can see both arguments in there. I don't.
Yeah, back of the end zone, either touchdown or incomplete or, into the stands.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd rather try it than spike it. But
Yeah,
I think it's just a Raider thing to do, though. You've got all these comeback wins this year, and they can't do it in the playoffs. I mean, it just seems like something. It just seems like the Raider story.
I don't fault the Raiders for losing this game. I think it was impressive they made the playoffs with all they had to deal with this year. Derek Carr's a legit quarterback. Just let this guy. I mean, he was an MVP candidate and broke his leg. One of these years, Carr's gonna catch some breaks. One of these years, and I think he's a legit quarterback. Like I said, one of these years, the breaks are gonna go to him and not to the other side.
he's going to have to leave Vegas to catch any breaks.
Yes, he might.
Yeah.
He might have to leave Vegas.
I think he's a good quarterback. I think the problem is there's two elite quarterbacks in his division, so it's going to be hard.
yeah.
Yeah. And if you stay in the AFC, there's not a division without elite quarterbacks now. So,
Yeah.
the South doesn't have it. But
Back to the spike is, that's a situation where the easy thing, the safe thing to do is go up there and spike it. Your two options are either call two plays before the completion. You have a a play that, hey, if we get the first down, we're going this when we get to the line, or you get to the line and call the play. But, I don't know whose fault it would have been, but they could have got up there. The linemen hear the wrong play, the wide receiver runs the wrong route, cornerback or DB jumps it, interception, game over. Um, like Carl, you said with time left on the clock, the proper thing would have been to run another play, but I think the Raiders were just playing it safe and trying their hardest to give themselves a chance at the end.
And they had it.
They
That was
did.
the refs were very involved in that game in the first half. Holy
The
cow.
refs were rough, honestly. Um, but you mentioned it. They held Jamar Chase in check, but that dude, every time the Bengals need something, man, that he's going to be a problem in the NFL for a long time.
Yeah, a real long time.
All right. The next game was a blowout. Buffalo beating the Patriots. The Patriots did not come to play. The Buffalo outclassed them in every way you can. Those 17 points that the Patriots scored were a gift by Buffalo at the end of the game when they were getting a little tired. Like, it's just that game was about as dominant as you can be. 0 punts, 0 turnovers, 0 sacks allowed, TDs on every drive except for the ones they kneeled down. Like, that's just complete annihilation. That's a emasculation of another football team.
I mean, I think we all thought the Patriots offense was bad and they were carried by their defense pretty much all year, but their defense did not come to play at all. When you're a team like that, your defense ain't come to play. You don't have a chance.
So after that, what would that be? Week 14? Yeah, week 14 or the win for the Patriots against the Bills. The Bills got revenge 2 weeks later, beating them 33-21, but you could tell that game week 14 was still personal to them. Like, they still took that shit personal. And they came out with the mindset to not win the game, but to destroy New England in the process. I mean, they did everything there. They still had up however much they were up late in the fourth quarter. They still had Josh Allen out there doing everything he could to put more points up on the board. And yeah, Mac Jones has regressed as the year's gone on. I think he kind of hit his peak there in the middle of the year. And then the second time around playing those division teams and here in the playoffs, he just doesn't look quite ready. And you can't blame him. He's a rookie. I'm not writing him off as a bust or anything like that yet, but that was an awful lot for a rookie QB to handle. Buffalo looks good again.
Yeah, you can't blame Buffalo for putting it on New England after the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Buffalo has found their groove. Josh Allen has found his groove. They're a scary team. They've turned into the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC, in my opinion. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But the Bills are playing, like we expected them to play all year.
Yeah, stats wise, the Bills have a great passing defense, but somebody exposed a hole in that. So since week 12, the only good quarterback they've played is Tom Brady. They've played Mac Jones 3 times, the combination of Cam Newton and PJ Walker, Matt Ryan, and Zach Wilson. So it's not like they were going against world killers.
Sounds
And
like they're going against people who shouldn't be playing in the NFL.
right. So, it could be a little bit of a shock in the first half. Hopefully, Kansas City gets up. We'll get into that. But, that defense can kind of lie to you a little bit. And they just had, who was it that went down?
Davis White's down.
Yeah.
Their best
So,
cornerback. That's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt when you get up against these better teams in the AFC. So, next
Hey, I have a
game.
question.
Go ahead.
Do you guys think Bill Belichick would want to go after one of these? There's going to be a few free agent quarterbacks. Do you think he would want to go after one of these quarterbacks in the offseason, or do you think Mac Jones is the way next year, too?
I think you continue to develop Mac Jones. I mean, he had a decent year for a rookie. Yeah, I mean, rookies don't typically jump off the page at you. I mean, I think Mac Jones did enough that he's the starter in New England.
I think most other head coaches and GMs maybe just test the free agent waters. You've got a capable guy with Mac Jones, but you maybe test the free agent. But Belichick wants complete and total control over his quarterback. You're not going to get that with Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to get that with Deshaun Watson. You're not going to get that with any of those other elite guys. Like they're the same reason. The same reason Tom Brady left is Tom Brady was in his 20th year and Belichick was still treating him like a rookie. And some of those elite guys aren't going to do that. I think if you put any other coach and GM there, that you know, hey Aaron, do you have any interest in coming to play here? Yes, no, but I think Belichick just rides it out with Mac Jones because he knows next year when he's second year guy, he's going to be able to control everything on the field still.
Have you guys looked at the list of free agents coming up this next season?
I have not.
It's like mainly defensive players. So Belichick's probably going to get a couple good guys while everybody's like, "Ooh, where are the quarterbacks going?" He's like, "I don't care." Like he's going to go get another cornerback and a safety.
Well, one of them is his cornerback, J.C. Jackson.
Yeah,
And
they've
that's
got
going to be a
couple guys to
coveted
sign
free
on that
agent.
defense. I can see both sides of it. I mean, I get what you guys are saying completely. I also see Bill as a guy who was ready to move on from Tom Brady, so I don't think he'd have a problem moving on from Mac Jones. And I mean, I think the things went about as perfect as they could for this year for the Patriots, and they still didn't win the division. Like with Mac Jones, I don't know if they have a chance to beat the Bills if Josh Allen's healthy.
I mean, he's going to have to take a big jump in year two. Here's the problem with signing big name quarterback free agents. They're old, typically. They only have a couple years left, and if you sign them, there goes all your salary cap money. All your other free agents are gone, and you can't fill any other holes. It very, very rarely works out. I mean, even when Brett Favre was going from place to place, yeah, they were good, but they didn't win a Super Bowl anywhere.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers is from Bills from a playoff team to a Super Bowl contender, probably. And it's only like him and Mahomes.
I mean, if you're giving up 47 points to the Bills, you aren't winning it. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. Too many teams reach for that quarterback. It's like dangling on a carrot in front of their nose.
Hey, what all quarterbacks are still left in the league or in the playoffs right now?
While he looks that up, so Bill Belichick is going to be that guy that you won't know he's retiring until 22 seconds, until 22 seconds before the press conference. Like he's not going to tell a soul. And one of these years, he's just going to up and retire. And I don't think it's going to be this year, but like another middle of the road year next year, he might just be,
it'll be
not a spring chicken.
It'll be after their final loss of the season or after the Super Bowl win. He's just going to come up to the podium and be like, well, we played well or we didn't play well today. I think I'm just going to get the hell out of here. It's been fun. Been a good 40-some years. See ya.
It would be hilarious if at his retirement press conference he came out in a Tommy Bahama shirt and said, peace. I'm a parrot head now.
Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady, Josh Allen, all top 5 quarterbacks. Stafford, top 10 quarterback. Tannehill, Bird's top 10. Burrow is somewhere in the top 10 probably at this point.
At this point, yeah.
I mean, you have to have a pretty good quarterback.
You have to have a good quarterback, but you have to fill the team. Stafford and the Lions never won a playoff game.
Yeah, but
you go to the Rams.
Stafford's salary, it's because the Lions were the Lions.
No, it's because the Rams have a much better team around him, and if the Patriots sign Aaron Rodgers, they are not going to be able to put a great team around him.
I'm not disagreeing that the talent around you won't go down, but Stafford's still getting paid a lot of money, and they're still paying for some of Jared Goff's contract. It's not like the Rams are competing with a lot of money invested in quarterback.
So
the teams with quarterbacks are still in the
Rams have a lot of one-year deals.
Kelsey,
Rams are also done after next year. They're done. Stick a fork in them.
Kelsey, I totally see your point on Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Allen, all top 5 quarterbacks.
Cody
are all still in the playoffs.
Cody.
But the inverse to that is the 5th best quarterback in the league is the 3rd stringer on the worst team in the league. So what's that tell you?
I mean, we all thought Kyler Murray was a top 10 quarterback too.
He lost to another top 10 quarterback.
Did we?
Did we all think that?
But you saw what happened when kind of the rest of their team went in shambles.
Yeah.
So did he.
We will get to the Monday night game, but we're going to move to Niners boys, where the boys came up just a little bit short on time. Cody, as somebody who correctly predicted who would win this game.
Yeah.
What'd you see there, bud?
You know what? I have two very good family members, very close family members who are Cowboys fans, and my childhood best friend is a Cowboys fan. And I'm almost to the point where I feel bad for him, but I'm never going to stop trolling them. It's your all's year. Next year is your all's year. You got a top 10 defense. You got the best quarterback in the league, Dak Prescott, coming back. You got two elite running backs. You know, those guys are both great. There absolutely nothing can go wrong next year. It's your year, I promise. You them boys. But as for this year, suck it.
No, so Dallas, everybody wants to complain about the refs, obviously because of, they're at the end, and Dallas had 14 penalties. Well, 7 of those 14 penalties were pre-snap. So, I talked about McCarthy versus Shanahan on last week's podcast. That's McCarthy versus Shanahan at its finest right there. McCarthy he has no clock judgment whatsoever. In all of his years of the NFL, he's proven that. And he didn't have his team prepared to play this game. You can't have 7 pre-snap penalties in a playoff game. That's on McCarthy. So if Dallas ever wants to win, they're going to have to figure out head coach. Jason Garrett was not it. Mike McCarthy is not it. It's just not happening. I don't know is it Kellen Moore, their offensive coordinator or something?
Yeah, but he's the one who called the quarterback draw, and that's one of the worst play calls in the history of the NFL, calling a quarterback draw 14 seconds and no timeout.
McCarthy could have, overrode it. He's head coach. He's top dog. He heard it in the headset.
They said Kellen Moore called it. They threw him under the bus. They said,
but that's part of the problem with McCarthy. What does he do?
Smashes watermelons.
It really, I don't know what he does for him.
Honestly, that play at the end of the game, though, was the best thing that could have happened to Dak, because Dak played terrible, and now everyone's focusing on that play call instead of how horribly Dak played. Like, Dak had a horrible game that game. I mean, you could say Jimmy G might have outplayed him, Jimmy G didn't play well either, but...
In the first half, Jimmy G did play pretty good.
Jimmy G made some plays. He did. He extended some drives. That's just how the 49ers play, though. They're better coached.
Yeah.
Coaching won that game.
There was... The big thing
was correct. Coaching won the game.
Was coaching.
Yeah, right.
Kyle Shanahan is an elite coach. We've been through this the last 5 episodes, I think. And the way he uses Deebo Samuel is the reason the Niners won that game. They just keep teams on their heels and use him in so many unique scenarios that it's almost impossible to guard him or defend him. And that was the difference in the game, in my opinion. The Cowboys...
49ers opening drives this year have been appointment television. Like, it's surgical how well they score touchdowns on their opening drive. It's crazy. But to rag on Dallas a little bit more, there have been 28 500-point offenses in the history of the NFL. There's only been 2 that have been eliminated in the wild card round, and you them boys, you were one of them. Also, we talk about the NFC East being a trash division. They're the only division in football that has not made the divisional round of the playoffs the past 4 seasons, including this one. They haven't made the divisional round since the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So,
wow.
That screams you're a terrible division. I don't care who comes out on top. You could be 12 wins coming out of that division. You still did not play anybody for 6 of those games. So you suck. And until somebody proves and comes out of there as a 15-win team or something like, oh, maybe these people actually are good, you're not going anywhere. You suck. The NFC East is the worst division in football, and that has not changed.
Agreed. I'm going to get philosophical for a minute, and we talk about karma all the time. We had this conversation today about Kansas City Chiefs fans and whatnot. Dallas fans, you guys do it to yourself, okay? You guys have got to learn to just be quiet, just roll with the punches. Not every year is going to be your year, and one of these years, something good is going to happen with the roster they have. It will happen. It may be 2 years from now. It may be 5 years from now. But don't start calling next year's Super Bowl champs and getting tattoos with the Lombardi Trophy with 2023 on your right bicep now for next year. Just see how it's going about week 10 before you say a word.
The best thing the Cowboys can do is go get Brian Flores.
I agree
Go
with
get
that.
him.
Yeah.
How
Go
many
get Eric
how many
Bieniemy, but
wrong
don't go get
Super
him 'cause
Bowl
that would make sense
tattoos do you think
Go
there
get him 'cause
are?
he needs a job.
I don't know,
How
but I
many
bet the Cowboys would top the list.
Yeah, how many wrong Super Bowl tattoos do you think there are
It
floating
definitely
around
has
out
to be the
there?
Cowboys at the
And how
top.
many of them have a blue star right smack dab on?
Yep.
All right.
One more thing about the Cowboys, and I'm not gonna fans, I'm not dogging on you here, but what does that say about your head coach when you have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator that are finalists for the Denver Broncos head coaching job? You know, they're down on the short list for that job. That tells you that they're good, they're qualified. They may not be great head coaches, you don't know, but you've got an OC and a DC that Denver is hot after for their head coaching job, and you still somehow blow that game. I think that has to fall on the head coach, doesn't it?
Didn't McCarthy pick both of those guys when he came there?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Kellen Moore was already in Dallas, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
think Kellen Moore was already there before McCarthy came. I think his first year was the year before McCarthy came, actually.
I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't look good, but we all know McCarthy, he's been carried by good quarterbacks his entire career, and now he doesn't have this elite style quarterback. So yeah, it's not going to go well for him. That's just how that goes. He doesn't have a guy that can go up there and make the play call himself when he sees a wrong read. Like he's just and he can't coach Dak to be that way. He's just not that guy. So until Dallas figures that out, it's not even Dallas, it's just Jerry Jones. It's one guy. All of this comes back to one person in Dallas. And until he figures that out, he's just going to keep banging his head against that wall. But the next game on the slate was the Sunday night game. Chiefs at Steelers. First quarter was a very well executed punt routine. And then after that, things got started. I would have liked to see Ben score that last touchdown instead of having to walk off the field like that. Like, spread be damned. Yeah, needed the 2-point conversion for the spread. But
You wanted the
like,
spread.
but it would have been nice. Just Ben's a big competitor, so he wouldn't have wanted you to let him have it. But like, I really do wish he would have walked off with a touchdown. That would have been nice because he does have a Hall of Fame career. He is going straight to the Hall of Fame, but it sucks he had to go down like that.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers put up, what was it, 21 points, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad outing in the playoffs. The Chiefs just were methodical on offense. So, playing the Chiefs, I obviously wanted that to be Ben's last game, but I hate that he had to go out in a blowout like that. And it was like a 11-minute blowout or whatever, how much time it was on the clock. I don't remember, 11, 16 minutes, something like that. Like that game was decided in essentially a quarter worth of football.
It was 10 and a half minutes game time for those 5 touchdowns.
So good on Big Ben for his career. I'm glad he got to lose to the Chiefs. I didn't have to watch him lose to the Bengals or somebody like the Patriots. That'd have been awful, but good career. Sorry it had to end. Go Chiefs.
You heard the crowd boo the Steelers when they called that timeout on that final drive when there was like 10, 11 seconds left. It's like, how is the crowd not know? Just like, well, yeah, they're going to try to get Ben another shot at the end zone. It's like, why'd you have to boo?
I mean,
You ever been to an NFL game? I get annoyed with the fans at NFL games all the time because they have no clue what they're talking about. They're replaying a play and you can tell it's going to get overturned, but since it goes against the home team, they're booing. Like half the fans there are so drunk they don't know what they're watching.
I mean, Ben doesn't want any handouts. He didn't want a free touchdown, so I'm fine with it. But I mean, that game was won. I mean, the Steelers defense played great in the first quarter. I mean, you can see that the Steelers have something built around on defense. They have a close to championship caliber defense. There's just been too many times where they've just been on the field too long this year, and this game was no exception. I mean, the Steelers had chances to get first downs in the first quarter, a few drop passes here, a few fades down the sideline, their go-to. I mean, you can tell that Big Ben just doesn't want to hold on to the ball in the pocket. I mean, he wasn't even really under pressure in that first quarter. It's just the time has come where he doesn't feel like getting hit anymore. I think that's their biggest issue. He can still throw the ball. But a couple drop passes, maybe that game gets a little bit closer if they're able to convert some first downs in that first quarter. But they weren't able to. The game really was won on that 3rd and 20 with 2 minutes left. And the Chiefs scored a Travis Kelce. I mean, that game was, the Chiefs were trying to be methodical in the first quarter. It wasn't working. So they said, Patrick Mahomes, just go do your thing. And he did his thing. I mean, rolling out the plays that you used to see Big Ben Roethlisberger make, rolling out, throwing it 40 yards downfield, putting it right on the money. It's just tough to stop when you don't score in the first quarter. And that was the end of the game. Steelers defense got worn out, and it was history from there. But you did like, as a Steelers fan, you did like to see that defense step up in a playoff game. They haven't done that. I know they gave up 42 points, but I still think that defense stepped up in that playoff game.
So
No, you're not wrong. Like you said, I mean, it was just back and forth the first quarter over and over. You can only stop an offense like the Chiefs so many times. Like, you're putting your defense out there
Yeah.
so much in the first half. Eventually, the Chiefs are gonna start clicking, and they did in a big way. I mean, you're right. The Steelers had, like, what did I say, like 40 yards of offense in the first half or something like that. It was something terrible. Um,
Have you guys seen the
and they
time of possession for both
it was
teams? Sorry.
exactly even.
Exactly
Yeah,
even.
Because of the second half,
yeah,
mainly.
yeah. It's because of the second half. Yeah,
Well, and the Chiefs scored on some long plays, too. They had some electric drives.
yeah. When they score quick.
so that
But it's just about the amount of possessions. Like, you can't give
Yeah.
an offense that many possessions.
so that the loss does not fall on Deontay Johnson, but if he makes 2 of those catches, maybe 3 of those catches, that extends the Steelers' drive, gives them more time for something to happen. It's maybe not a completely different game, but it gives the Steelers a much better chance to win that game. But those
At least
all three of those drops in the first half were drive killers. Like the drive was over then, and that's hard to deal with.
There's something to be said about getting that first down without going 3 and out, especially for the Steelers. When they get that first down, they're a different offense. When they don't, it's tough to watch.
Yeah, if
I mean,
Deontay
you're
doesn't
right.
drop those balls, they might have covered at least.
True.
You never know.
You're right.
Would have made a
Deontay
big difference to
Johnson
Carl.
had a few drops, but I mean, just you can watch that offense. The game wasn't going to be different. Every time they tried to go downfield, they couldn't get anything. Like, either the ball was underthrown or, I mean, they didn't. It may have been a little bit closer. It wasn't going to be a different game.
It all comes down, like, Big Ben leads the league in throwing the ball as quick as possible. This game was way lower than his average for the season. Your receivers don't have time to make their breaks and get open. Like, you've got to let the play develop a little bit. Look at the Chiefs. When they were running the ball and, kind of like Kyle Shanahan's a genius at, they didn't score in their first 4 possessions. Then they said, Patrick Mahomes, drop back, make the plays. He made the plays. You've got to give your receivers more time to get open. You have to.
The Steelers averaged 4.9 yards per pass attempt. The Chiefs averaged 10.4 yards per pass attempt. Like, I mean,
26-year-old quarterback versus 39-year-old
yeah,
quarterback.
yeah. I mean, it's just you're just outmatched. I mean, it's not. It was
Well,
going to take a
and
miracle for the Steelers to be in that game. I mean,
And
there
as good
wasn't.
as Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool are, they aren't Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. They're just not.
Yep.
But one thing you can say about that game too is T.J. Watt left his mark on that game. Yeah, it was 42-21, but T.J. Watt's fingerprints were all over that game. I understand Aaron Donald is absolutely phenomenal. I understand that Micah Parsons is phenomenal and Jalen Ramsey is phenomenal, but no one leaves their mark on games quite like TJ does. He didn't have a whole lot going, and then all of a sudden, boom, scoop and score, and then it was on after that.
Yeah, he also was the reason for the interception.
Yeah, getting his hands on that ball.
I know we have someone here who's hard on him, but it's how his brother used to be. J.J. Watt, his stats may not have shown it every year, but he was he was the guy who left the mark on the defensive side of the ball every game when he was in his prime, and that's what TJ is doing now. Every game he's in, you know he's there.
So did you guys see the
Speaking-
Barstool Sports thing about first touchdown scored in that game?
I sent it to the group chat.
Oh,
dog.
did you? Okay, I can't
someone-
remember
Yeah,
where
he
I
had
saw it.
Derek Watt for
Yeah.
plus 12,500.
Derek Watt.
Yeah, and when
He said
but
he just scrolled down to the bottom and he saw Watt and just like, oh, those are great odds. And then
Yeah.
he thought he hit it.
Yeah.
And they got it live on camera.
Yeah, it was like bet 100 to win 12,000 whatever, wasn't it?
$25 to win 3,000.
Yeah.
Something is what he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
very funny. But speaking of TJ's older brother, the last game, Cardinals versus the Rams, TJ's older brother
Hey, I
made a
think
miraculous comeback.
I think you missed one game. Eagles Buccaneers.
Oh, I did. Okay, we'll do Eagles Bucks after.
Okay.
He mentioned the Jimmy up there.
I mean, I guess it
Uh,
wasn't much of a game, so
Yeah.
continue.
So TJ's brother, who shall not be named, made this miraculous comeback. No human in history has ever come back from injury faster than TJ's brother. Oh my God, zero impact. The dude has not had impact on a game in years, and everybody still strokes him. And it's like, come on, guys, that he's done. He's not worth the veteran minimum anymore. He has no impact
Yeah,
on
and they're
games.
paying him like 14 million or something like that. 19 million,
Look-
I don't know, something.
Look what he's done, Kyler. You just rolled your eyes. Look what he's done this year. He hadn't done anything.
He's definitely worth
Right,
veteran
but
minimum.
veteran minimum, there's definitely worse players than him. Plus his leadership alone. Like the dude's a leader. The
They
dude can
hired him
add.
as a defensive line coach.
The dude could add something to the locker room. He's a player in this league. He's just, you can't count on him to be a star. You can throw him in there for 25, 30 plays a game. Just
Throw him in
not
there for
60
2.5
anymore.
plays a game.
Half
He could be
place, huh?
Rudy on the sidelines. JJ, and he could come in at the very end, carry him off on your shoulders, do whatever. The dude's washed. He's not good anymore. Anyway, Arizona got blown out. Kyler Murray looked like poop. Arizona in general looked like poop. The Rams looked like the Rams should. That defense just was suffocating in that first half. That looked scary. How good that defense was in that first half.
Yeah, the Rams defense had Kyler Murray running around looking like a Lego figurine out there. Just doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I hear cartoon like footsteps whenever he runs around, but Kyler Murray, I don't know how much of that was his fault, because he was just running for his life the entire time. But the Rams offense looked good. They've now got 3 backs that are pretty good. Michelle Akers is back, and the third guy, I can't think of his name. Not bad at all. OBJ is playing well. He can be, he's not the number one guy like I think everyone thought he was when he was in New York, but he's playing well. Some of that is to give credit to Stafford, and then Cooper Kupp, the best wide receiver in the NFL. It's not in the top 10. But the Rams offense looked explosive. Their defense just absolutely smothered the Cardinals all game long. That's what we thought the Rams were going to look like, or that's what I thought the Rams were going to look like for 17 games this year, and they did it in the wild card round.
This tells you how dominating this performance was. The Rams only threw the ball 18 times, and one of those was by Odell Beckham Jr. and won the game 34-11. Stafford was 13 for 17 for 202 yards. Beckham was 1 for 1 for 40 yards. They averaged over 13 yards an attempt in this game. They got up early, and the Cardinals just didn't know how to come back from behind. The Cardinals didn't run the ball, couldn't run the ball. Murray was running for his life and wasn't playing well at all. He played terrible. Like Cody said, I don't know if it's his fault or just he just had no chance. But it was almost like it shouldn't be like this, but it was almost like the Chiefs Steelers game, like how dominant it was. Unfortunately, a lot of one-sided games this week, and this was one of them. The Rams from the beginning were in control, and the Cardinals just couldn't get any traction to catch up.
Yeah, after the season we had, I thought the playoffs were going to be absolutely lit this weekend, and pretty damn boring.
Hopefully they are in the divisional round. Kai, you got any thoughts on
Yeah, Rams look good. I think you all hit on it. Odell Beckham is back. I mean, Sean McVay is going to do wonders for Odell Beckham. When they traded for him, I said I didn't know how much he helped him. I take that back. Odell Beckham with Sean McVay is a lethal duo, and it's going to make the Rams that much tougher. Now, they needed some time to find their chemistry, but I think they've had enough games to where they're starting to find their, Odell Beckham, Cooper Cup. That just adds so much more to that offense.
I think if Robert
Um,
Woods didn't go down, would they even have enough balls to go around?
Not
it's
with
just
Van
gonna,
Jefferson out there too, and
Kelsey, you alluded to the fact that just in general, the teams that are left look at their quarterbacks. Look at the coaches, though. Andy Reid, offensive genius. Sean McVay, offensive genius. Matt LaFleur, I don't think you consider him offensive genius, but he is known to be an offensive coach. And when you combine that with Aaron Rodgers, offensive genius. Kyle Shanahan, offensive genius. Bruce Arians, maybe people don't consider him one, but look what he did in Pittsburgh when Big Ben came to the
He's a
league.
very good offensive mind.
And you've got that with Tom Brady. You're an offensive genius. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it. The defenses that are left in the league, Chiefs have allowed the fewest points in the league since week 6. Bengals have a good defense. Buccaneers, they've been injured a lot, but their defense is healthy now. Rams, we know what they bring to the table. I mean, these are just the best teams, and they happen to have some of the best quarterbacks.
and
So
you
I
got
think
a
it's a little bit of
coach.
both.
The only coach you didn't mention is somebody who must apparently know how to motivate his guys really well is Mike Vrabel. Like you can't discredit that he's a decent coach. He's been coaching
Let's
Tannehill.
let's hold that thought until next week. Let's see how they fare this week. Because
One
I
thing
think the
about this,
Titans kind of fluked into the 1 seed. I think we can kind of all agree with that.
But I don't think they fluked into the divisional round. Like I think they
No,
beat the Raiders.
they are. They're right there on the fringe. I mean, they
they get
still got to
Derek
prove
Henry
it
back,
to
right?
me.
Henry back this week.
yep, that's what
I thought.
ESPN. When I pulled up ESPN, that was the number one highlight. He cleared
And
he cleared
I
all
don't
tests in practice today.
I don't dislike the Titans either, but I think they still have, like the Bengals, they're maybe 49ers. Those are the 3 teams you still have question marks about that are left if they can do it. They
Yeah,
can. It's possible.
One big thing about the Rams in this game, though, we were talking about their defense looking good. Von Miller looked fresh, and he honestly hasn't looked great all year since he's been in LA, and he looked fresh and ready to go in this game.
yeah.
He definitely had a chip.
Really, the after this last week, the Buffalo Kansas City game feels like the AFC Championship game. And I know the Packers are good. I know Aaron Rodgers is, the stud. But the Rams Bucs game, almost feels more important, like more like the NFC Championship game than Niners Green Bay. I would take any of those 4 teams to win any of those games. But for the AFC, you still have to win one more game to get there, no matter who wins the Bills-Chiefs game. But that feels like the AFC Championship game. And the way the Rams are playing right now, I'm looking forward to Rams Green Bay the week after.
Well, we'll
Definitely
we'll
four of
get
the
to
top
that.
5 teams.
I did skip Tampa Bay Philly earlier, which I know there's not much there. It was a Tom Brady game, and that's really all you need to say. It was Tom Brady in the wild card. You kind of knew what was going to happen. Philly is just not quite there yet. Respect for getting to the playoffs from the position you're in, but you're just not quite there yet. And there's no shame in that. Hurts looked a little bit off time with some of his receivers and tight end, but and he walked off or he had a boot on at the end, but that could have been part of it. But that was just Tom Brady doing Tom Brady things. And yeah, it took him a couple drives to get there, but yeah, if Tom Brady would have lost to the Eagles in the wild card round, like that would be all we would have talked about this whole podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to say
Yeah.
about that game. It was a Tom Brady game.
That Eagles team isn't going to win a game where they can't run the ball and they got behind early and they had no chance. Trying to throw the good ball game.
You said it. Eagles aren't quite there yet. They were 0-6 against playoff teams coming in. Now they're 0-7. There is stuff to build off on in Philadelphia, though. That they're trending upward, even though they lost this game decidedly. I think you kind of expected that.
I think for as good as the outlook looks in Philadelphia right now, they've got to be kicking themselves for taking Aguilar over Jamar Chase right now. That was who, right? He was drafted before Chase or Jefferson.
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith.
Smith was, yeah.
Was it? I thought there was an.
That
It
was
was
the
Devont-
year before.
Devontae Smith.
You're 1 year too late, Cody.
I think Devontae Smith you can't go wrong with.
No,
I
he's
think
no Jamar Chase.
I think you throw Devontae Smith and the Bengals and Joe Burrow, then he has the better year than Jamar Chase does with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball.
I don't know. Jamar Chase is just built different. Devontae Smith does not have the body Jamar Chase does. Devontae Smith is a very small guy, isn't he?
Yeah, so is Jamar Chase.
Not near as small as Devontae. Look it up. Anyway, while they're looking that up, we will officially move on to not next week, this week. And we'll save those two highlight games for last. But the first game, Cincinnati, Tennessee. Tennessee 3.5-point favorites. Obviously at home, they had to bye. Derrick Henry back. Tractor Cito back in the driver's seat. So we're gonna see what he can do. Shake off some rust, hopefully, but get ready. And was Hendrickson hurt for Cincinnati there towards the end of the last game? He definitely set some drives out. So I mean that's a big factor. That's obviously their best pass rusher by a large
Same
margin.
height. Jamar Chase is 30 pounds heavier.
Boom. Big. Strong. Anyway, I don't know. I regardless of Derrick Henry, I think Tennessee edges that game. So they're not too far removed from an AFC championship game. So a lot of them guys are going to have playoff experience. And I realized the Bengals played like they pretty much played like veterans, but everything screams take Cincinnati, but I just like Tennessee for some reason.
Yeah.
I think Vrabel's going to have his team ready.
Yeah, playing on the road in the playoffs is much different than playing at home. And the Bengals weren't impressive enough for me to say they're going to go into Tennessee. Let's not forget and win that game. Let's not forget how good Tennessee's defense is. Tennessee has one of the best defenses in the league. I think Tannehill's veteran presence at home is going to be enough for them to edge the Bengals. I think this will be a good learning experience for the Bengals, playing a road game and just building off of it next year. And it's a process. I mean, Bengals talent-wise are as good as anybody. I think the being on the road is going to get to them just a little bit early in that game. And I think Titans defense wins this game. Low-scoring game, maybe in the 20s. And, Titans are going to run the ball, and they're going to try to keep the ball away from the Bengals. We'll see if the Bengals can stop it.
Yeah, I think we've seen the last few weeks the key to the Bengals is Jamar Chase. 1,455 yards receiving. I know it's through 18 games, but still, that's insane. He's a rookie. The dude is a monster. The only way the Bengals win this game is if he comes up with some really big plays because they're going to need it on third downs. They're going to need Jamar Chase to come up with some big plays. I like the Titans in this one as well. I expect them to control the game, like you guys said. Now, Derrick Henry, depending on how healthy Derrick Henry is, that could change the game a lot. If Derrick Henry isn't completely healthy, it's going to be harder to keep the ball out of the Bengals' hands. It'll definitely make the game harder for the Titans. I still think I like the Titans regardless, but I think it'll change the game a lot if Derrick Henry isn't as healthy as we expect him to be, because they're acting like he's going to be ready to go like 80% or something, 90%, if he's not that healthy, then that changes the game a lot, I think.
I'm going to go back real quick. I had to do some Google searching. I said Aguilar, right?
Yeah.
I meant Rager. He was taken one spot before Justin Jefferson in the draft. He was taken 21st.
Yeah.
Jefferson was taken
ahead of Justin
22nd.
Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to what you guys were saying.
It's your turn.
It's your turn to talk about
Cincinnati,
Titans
Tennessee.
Bengals.
Okay, I'm glad you guys told me what we were talking about because I was over here Twitter fingering. Titans Bengals. How well can Tennessee's defense play? You've got to slow down. Joe Burrow gets better every single week. Jamar Chase gets better every single week. Um, I think if Derrick Henry is truly healthy and back, the Titans can get an early lead. They can hang on to the game. Um, but I don't know. What's the spread on the game?
Three
I
and a
said
half
Right.
Tennessee.
Tennessee. That's tough. I'd probably take Tennessee in that. I think Tennessee by 7, maybe by a touchdown.
I'm taking Bengals plus 3.5, but I'm taking the Titans to win by 3. I think that line's going to get down to about 2. Titans minus 2. 2.5.
Yeah, definitely having over a field goal seems odd for that game.
Yeah.
Titans play close games. It's going to be
Yeah.
close.
So Kelsey, you left it a little bit ambiguous. Who you taking in that one?
I'm taking the Titans in that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I said even if Derrick Henry isn't fully healthy, I still think I lean toward the Titans. I just think it'll change the game a lot.
Yeah, and so, the only defensive-minded coach left in the playoffs is Mike Vrabel. So if a guy's he's get 2 weeks to game plan, he probably game planned more for Cincinnati than he did Vegas. Like, just to be fair, he probably didn't game plan at all for Pittsburgh. I know that's weird, but like,
I mean,
just kind of is what
probably
it
a
is.
smart decision. Let's go with
Uh,
the percentages here.
But he probably did game plan for Cincinnati, so he's had 2 weeks to kind of get that defense ready for Burrow and Chase, and let's see what he can do. I mean, he's a sharp guy. That his players like him, so I think that's pretty safe bet on money line Tennessee. Next game that we're going to talk about is San Francisco at Green Bay. Green Bay is -6. Um, kind of that was a rematch of that was 2 years ago NFC Championship game.
Yep.
Some different faces in San Francisco, especially running the ball, but yeah,
Same result.
really.
No, same result running the ball.
Oh.
Different faces, same result.
Oh, I thought you were saying Niners winning.
All right, so yeah, I don't think Green Bay is built for NFC Championship games to make it to NFC Championship games. So I'm going
That's
to
usually
keep
when they
rolling
blow
with
it.
that. Yeah, but they still make it. So
No,
that's where
I
I'm
agree
going.
completely. Yeah, they blow it later, not now.
So here's the thing: is Saturday night in Green Bay, it is going to be 2 degrees with a 9-mile-an-hour wind.
Green Bay's
So,
used to that.
Yes. So on paper, you think, oh, the running team gets the advantage there, the team that can run the ball. But Green Bay plays in that weather for 3 months of the season. They're ready for it. I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers could throw the ball through a hurricane. So, I think Green Bay is built for that game.
I think Green Bay. I mean, I know the Niners are the running team that everyone looks at, but Green Bay might have the 2 best running backs in this game, to be honest. I just, it's hard to see the Niners winning this game. And the Green Bay should win this game, but 2 years ago I probably said the exact same thing. Like Kyler said, Niners have a coach who seems to know how to get things done. I have Green Bay in this one. I don't think it really matters what the temperature is. Green Bay can run the ball, they can throw the ball, their defense is good. They have Aaron Rodgers. There's no reason why Green Bay shouldn't win this game. And I'll probably be wrong.
So there's every quarterback has a kryptonite, and for Aaron Rodgers, that kryptonite actually happens to be the 49ers. I'm taking the 49ers. I think they're going to make this a game. I think the 49ers defense looked better than it's looked all year last week. They're getting healthy. Greenway came back. He got hurt late in that game, but I think he's going to play. And he made some plays. I could be wrong here, but I'm going with the 49ers. I just feel something about the 49ers. They're playing their best football of the year. Green Bay's the 1 seed. They earned it. But the Packers just seem vulnerable to me. More vulnerable than what people might think. And I'm going with 49ers.
I think it's going to be a close game. I'm gonna if I had to bet, I would bet on the Packers. I think the Packers will win, but I think it'll be a 1-score game, probably maybe a 3-point game. I'm anxious to see how big of an impact Debo can make in this game against a pretty good defense. But if the Niners can use him well, then they'll be all right. They'll be in the game.
What are the odds on the 49ers having a opening drive touchdown? Because the Packers gave up an opening drive touchdown to the Steelers, so I'm putting all my money on that.
You heard it here first, folks.
That means I probably wouldn't bet on it if you're listening. Bet on the opposite.
So one thing I want to say, I give Aaron Rodgers a lot of heck for what he does in the playoffs because he always seems to find a way to blow it at some point. The Packers find a way to blow it at some point. His stat lines are insane though. This year he threw 37 touchdowns, only 4 picks. Last year 48 touchdowns, only 5 picks. 26-4, 25-2. Like that's the most he throws big numbers in touchdown column and almost no interceptions. Like I think Brady had 11 picks this year. Mahomes had 13. Allen had like 14. This dude has 13 the last 3 years combined in the regular season.
Yeah, I saw a breakdown of Aaron Rodgers' playoff performances, and people say that he's kind of a choke artist in the playoffs because he throws exponentially more interceptions in the playoffs than he does over the course of a regular season. But they were showing all of his interceptions, and like a lot of them are tip balls, a lot of them are stuff that the wide receivers could have caught and they didn't, and the defense ends up with it, or they're Hail Marys to end the half. And that he's actually been better in the playoffs than his stats show. And he's been pretty good in the playoffs for the most part. He just seems to lose the big games.
My knock on Rodgers has never really been his play. It's how he's a horrible teammate. And Tom Brady is like the polar opposite. Tom Brady is a guy that you can trust to lead your team. He's a guy who, I don't know, he gets the best out players around him. And Rodgers is a guy that people don't seem to like to play with. You've heard ex-Packers complain about him. And
I mean, you could argue that that's Rodgers' biggest downfall, obviously. Because when you get to the playoffs, yeah, he can win games like that in the regular season. But when you get to the playoffs, those teams are coming for you. And if you get, over cocky or anything, you're going to get exposed in those games. Not that he doesn't put up the numbers, but just the effect that it has on the rest of the team. Not quite as prepared, stuff like that. I think that's kind of caught up to him in the past. And this is a 49ers team is not a team you want to under-prepare for. I'm telling you right now. They are one of the most prepared teams in the NFL.
they've been rolling.
I couldn't find your odds. It wasn't on the sports book I use. But the top 3 first touchdown scorer odds, like individuals, were all Packers. So there's some money probably to be made putting somebody from the. You can even hedge your bets.
Let's go with Kyle Juszczyk. I feel it. Kyle Juszczyk, first
That's
touchdown.
probably good odds too. You're gonna get some money on that one.
For no touchdowns in the first quarter, it was first half, it was plus 16,000 for your
in the
odds.
first half? Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to we'll get to the NFC Firecracker game, and then we'll do the AFC Firecracker game last. So the Rams at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers -3, which is probably about right. As far as pre-game spreads go. Yeah. So Tom Brady versus the built to be here Rams. Who comes out of that?
Said it since week 1. The Rams. The Rams defense is they're going to make Tom Brady uncomfortable. Tom Brady's Tom Brady. It's going to phase him as little as it would any quarterback in the league. But the Rams are going to be on his ass. I'm sure they're probably going to match Jalen Ramsey up with Mike Evans all night long since they don't have any, the Bucs don't have AB, they don't have Godwin. So they can really put Ramsey on an island with Mike Evans. Like Kelsey said a little bit ago, Von Miller looks fresh. He's going to be in the backfield all game long. Aaron Donald's going to be in the backfield all game long. I don't know how much it disrupts Tom Brady, but it'll disrupt their rhythm. I think the Buccaneers will struggle on offense. And I think you said it was -3 Bucks.
Yeah.
I'm taking that all day for the Rams. I think the Rams win by a touchdown.
Yeah, as Saturday is must watch TV, Sunday is must watch TV. Rams Buccaneers, Chiefs Bills. Rams Buccaneers. I think this game comes down to the end. I think Tom Brady is more trustworthy than Stafford, so I'm taking the Rams because I picked them to win the Super Bowl this year, so I have to. I think the Buccaneers will win, but I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah, you hit the nail right there. Who do I trust, Tom Brady or Matt Stafford? I promise it's Tom Brady 10 out of 10 times. This game gets to the fourth quarter, and I expect it to be close. I've got the Bucs winning this ball game.
And that can't be a knock on Matt Stafford because if you
No.
do a March Madness style on quarterbacks you trust bracket, Tom Brady's winning that. And if he doesn't win that, you're just wrong. So
Right, but Tom Brady's at the top, and Stafford's maybe 15th or something. Trust in big situations. I'm not putting
we
Matt
have
Stafford near the top.
nothing to base faith in Matt Stafford on.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just nothing there. He's never been in this moment. He's never had to play Tom Brady in a pressure game ever. So it's like, well, you're probably going to learn some things, and you might be a better quarterback next year because you got to watch it in person. But you know, I I hate that this had to happen in the divisional round because I did pick the Rams to go to the Super Bowl. Um, uh, I'm going spread wise for betting. I'm going to bet Tampa Bay -3, but pick wise for picking, I am going to pick the Rams.
Because you picked him to go to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
All right, so you guys let me gain a game on this one. Thank you.
Well, you're already down 2.
Yep.
But
But
it's
seriously,
Tom Brady. It's January. Like it's
I learned a
so
long
hard to
time
bet
ago when
against.
I was hating the New England Patriots. It's just not a good deal to bet against Tom Brady, especially when it's going against somebody who's never been there.
It's got to end at some time. Maybe it ends this year, but man, and this is what the Rams signed off to do. This is what they gave up how many picks for is to be in this moment and win these types of games. But just picture this road to the Super Bowl, right? So you have to go through Brady in the divisional and then possibly Aaron Rodgers in the championship game, and then you have whoever the heck comes out of the AFC.
Holmes
To
or
win
Allen,
that
like
Super
that,
Bowl, you go through some quarterbacks now.
Mahomes,
Whoa,
Allen, or Brady, or Burrow, not Brady, Burrow. So in the
or
AFC,
Tannehill.
yeah, or Tannehill.
But yeah, that's a wild one. But anyway, closest spread game of the week goes to the final game of the weekend. Buffalo at Kansas City. Kansas City -0.5.
a -1.5 on
Where
ESPN. -1.5 on ESPN. That's what
what
it's
I
showing.
said,
Oh, I thought you said -0.5. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the one.
-1.5.
I heard
Gotcha.
-0.5.
Well, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. It's at Arrowhead, so I mean these teams are pretty evenly matched. The Chiefs are very good. The Bills are very good. They both showed signs of being the best team in football. I'd say the Chiefs have been more consistent as of late, but the Bills are just as explosive. The tiebreaker to me would go to the Chiefs for being at Arrowhead, but I got to pick the Bills. I do think the Chiefs are going to win a close one, but I've got to go with the Bills because I picked them to go to the Super Bowl and I'm sticking with it. I think this game can go either way. I do.
Cody.
Nope, you guys go ahead.
We already know where Cody's going. Kyler said it. Honestly, the NFC has 3 really good teams, and the AFC has 2 really good teams. I think in most people's eyes, I think these are probably the 2 favorites in the AFC
Top tier.
right now. Yeah, those are the 5 best teams. I think these are the 2 best in the AFC. I think the difference is Mahomes, Reed, Arrowhead, the Bills. I mean, every team hasn't proved. No team has proved it until they prove it, and this is the chance for the Bills to prove it. But the Chiefs have proved it before, and they're at home, and they have Mahomes, and they have Reed. I think the smart play is the Chiefs here, and that's the same thing with the Buccaneers. It's not being a homer. It's just I think that's a smart play. I would pick the Chiefs regardless, probably, but I think the Chiefs are the play here.
Yeah, so you go back 2 years, and what we didn't know at the time because we were Chiefs fans that had been let down so many times before, was the Chiefs were just one step ahead of everybody else in the AFC. And that carried into last year as well. Yeah, Buffalo was good last year, Cleveland was good last year, but they weren't on the Chiefs level. The Bills have caught the Chiefs. And there's no longer the Chiefs and everybody else. It's the Chiefs and Bills and everybody else. So this game is literally probably for all the marbles in the AFC. But what I can't do is pick against Kansas City. And so, I did pick them to win the Super Bowl just because I want to see one more of those in my lifetime. Um, and I'm going to continue to pick the Chiefs, but I will not be surprised one bit if we lose. Not even a little bit.
So I said it. Kai and I both picked Rams Bills in the Super Bowl. Kai picked the Rams to win. I picked the Bills to win. The Bills have been my Super Bowl favorite since week one. They look like they're back and rolling again, kind of like the Rams do. Josh Allen's playing great. They got Stephon Diggs. Dawson Knox is quickly becoming a top-tier tight end. I'm taking Kansas City. I think the Chiefs are just too good at home.
He really wants to win that pick'em, doesn't he?
If Buffalo wins this game, my next two picks are Buffalo no matter what. They will win the Super Bowl if they win this game. But to me, this is the Super Bowl right here. Green Bay's good, LA's good, Tampa Bay's good. But to me, right now, the Chiefs and Bills are both better. This is the AFC Championship. This is the Super Bowl if there was no conferences to me. This is going to be a great game. It's must watch. It could absolutely be the game of the year. Took Buffalo from the beginning. I'm switching it up. And I'm not Homer in this. Me and Kelsey been at it all day in group chat.
Ass whammy again.
Me and Kelsey have been at it in the group chat all day long. But I'm taking the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win this game because of Andy Reid and because of home field advantage.
You should have just said the Bills, because if you would have taken the Bills, you are happy no matter what. A, the Chiefs won, you're like, heck yeah, dude. Sorry I was wrong. B, the Bills win, you're like, I told you guys. So, that is classic dodo brain move.
Rookie.
Right
Small
there.
brain move.
Brain move.
I'm just saying, I don't blame you. I want to win the pick'em too. Next week, if the Packers and Bucs play, I pick the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. I'm picking the Bucs next week. I promise.
Let me be clear. I think the Chiefs will win, but I'm picking the Bucs.
You're
So
picking the
we've mentioned
Bucs.
we've mentioned the
pick our
pick 'em a couple times
Bucs.
for those that are listening.
Bills.
We are picking every game. Cody and I are currently 6-0. Kai's 5-1, and Kelsey's 4-2. So Kelsey fell behind a little bit.
I won the
Arizona.
NBA pick'em, so I wanted to give him a head start in the NFL pick'em.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It wasn't a runaway in the NBA pick 'em, but
I will be in last and pick them. I just picked 3 road teams to win next week. Just whoever's listening.
you did. Whoa.
I'm calling it right now. It's just how the dominoes fell.
The no faith in Cincinnati. Of the road teams that are probably going to win next week, Cincinnati is not the one you picked.
Here, cheers to an 0-4 week, boys.
Mazel tov.
No, so we will. I did write all those down just for you guys. I wrote everybody's name under who they picked, so I'll put that on our note. But yeah, should be some great football, especially on Sunday. So if you got people coming over, say, "Hey, shut up, we're watching this," because this is going to be watchable football, not somebody getting curb stomped. If any of these teams gets down, unless you're down 28. There's a very likelihood that by the fourth quarter, these games are going to be real close again. So you're going to have to stay watching.
Anybody who knows me knows I love to be at Arrowhead, especially for playoffs. I'm not going to the game Sunday because I think the Rams Bucs is going to be must see TV, and I don't want to miss it. That's the only reason why I'm not trying to get tickets right now to the game.
When we refilmed the episode, I'm kind of regretting these picks.
They're locked in. They're your stone cold picks of the century. Of the week.
Yeah, I mean, Cody, yours is also locked in too.
I'm not the one wanting to change.
You're putting double cat's ass on the Chiefs, though.
I thought we have proven the double cat's ass means nothing.
You couldn't have just picked the Chiefs last week?
Let's move on, okay?
What's there to move on to? I think that's it. Anybody have any? Cody, do you have any NBA things?
Nope.
No.
Lakers are still a dumpster fire. Vogel's going to be out by the time we record our next episode. Frank Vogel will be gone.
I saw this on TikTok. Obviously, the Knicks and the Lakers are the two most valuable franchises in the NBA for the last how many years? Not anymore. Knicks, Warriors, Lakers. Lakers are third. And if the Warriors' trajectory stays on, they're going to be the most valuable franchise pretty soon in the NBA. Probably the next 5 years or so, they'll be the most valuable franchise in the NBA.
How many
Then when
billions
Steph
of
Curry
dollars? How
when
many
Steph
billions
Curry
of dollars have
retires,
Steph Curry been worth to them?
every
A
bit of
lot because
every bit of it.
they were not worth close to the top of the NBA.
He should
before
get half ownership at retirement.
Every bit of it. I still remember the days when they had Monte Ellis and Steph Curry, and Monte Ellis would shoot the ball 40 times a game.
Those old Warriors jerseys were kind of cool, though. Some people hated them. I kind of liked them.
I loved watching the Warriors. The year they knocked the Mavericks off.
The We
they were
Believe
8 seed,
Warriors.
one seed,
Oh.
Baron Davis. Yeah. Oh man, they were fun to watch. Running gun.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's where we're going to leave you guys this week. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
Oh, hey, breaking news. Breaking news.
If
If Las Vegas offered Jim Harbaugh the job, he would take it. Breaking news.
Oh, I think we just found out who the Raiders' next coach is.
Yeah.
I think that would be
But
good
how do
for
you-
Derek Carr.
But how do you not give what's his name the job after him getting to the
Pasek.
playoffs?
Oh, yeah, I like that guy. He deserves it.
Like I don't think he's gonna get it, but I think he deserves it.
He deserves it for sure. Because he's too good of a guy for Las Vegas. That dude seems like a good, genuine guy. That's not Las Vegas's,
Why doesn't Harbaugh come into Denver and then he can pick his next quarterback?
He must like Derek Carr. Hey, there's no commitment to Derek Carr in Vegas. He might not be the quarterback next year.
Of all the teams, though, I think Harbaugh, he's never going to be Urban Meyer on the college circuit. He should go to the Jaguars and be better than Urban Meyer and then be like, see, I am a better coach than you. Just have to be into the pros. But anyway, until next time, tell your grandma that we love her and we appreciate her listening in. And be good out there. Don't drink and drive. Peace.